Hey everybody, this is Jim at SP500chart.com. It is about 3 o'clock on the winter solstice, December 21st, 2014. We're going to take a look at what happened this past week. And wow, what an excellent week if you believe in technical analysis. We just nailed this thing this week, and actually we spotted the low. It was indeed a mirror image, but smaller, of what we saw happen back earlier in the fall. But before we get into that, let me just remind you that the website and the video are for educational purposes only. Nothing stated at the site or in the video is intended to be used as investment advice. I can draw lines on charts, but you have to draw your own conclusions from your own research and make investment decisions that are suitable for your personal financial situation. And I am not a licensed financial professional. I'm just a guy who draws lines on charts. So let's take a look. Starting out here on a 30-minute chart, here's our week from this line to this line right here. We knew coming into the week that things were looking dicey, because we'd gotten underneath this line again. We'd also had established a channel between these two orange lines right here. If we move in a little closer to a 10-minute chart, again, our week started on the 15th, and we broke down through this descending resistance line. And if you'll remember, that was when I said, guys, this is starting to look like a bottom, because we were already sliding down in a fairly aggressive downward pitch, but we broke through an already descending line. That is the opposite of a blow-off top. A blow-off top is like what silver did 4 years ago or so, or was it 2010? I can't remember exactly. Silver was in an ascending channel, and it just accelerated out of that channel, blowing out the upper ascending resistance line, and that should have been the clue. People are buying stupidly into silver. You'll remember that was when there were websites of people saying silver's going to go to 500 an ounce or something like that, or 150 an ounce. Just crazy. Well, the opposite of that is when you have a well-established support line that is descending and you get underneath it. That is often the sign of a bottom. Okay, not always, but often. We saw that happen back here. Here was the descending resistance line. We blew down through the bottom of it. The word went out at SP500chart.com. Potential for a bottom. Then, yes, indeed it was. We did the same thing, blowing out the bottom of a descending support line. Potential for a bottom. Yes, indeed it was. As a matter of fact, at one of the videos this past week, I don't remember whether it was the weekly review or Monday's video, I pointed out that what took place, and I was pointing this out before we had this big rally, but what took place from here to here looks almost exactly like what took place from here to here. In other words, if you examine, let me get a little box tool. If you examine that area on the chart and compare it to this area on the chart, you will find a lot of similarities. Maybe do that on your own. That's your homework. So, we indeed did find bottom this week. We also got back over our red support line, and I'm going to do something I don't like to do very often, but I am getting rid of that line, and we're going to put a new one up, because this makes twice now where the S&P has gone underneath that line and then rallied back through it. So something tells me that line is not behaving as you would expect. The other thing that happened this week is that when we made this move down underneath this support line, we did so with a resistance line that it was that's in green right here. We broke out over that line of resistance, and then at the end of the day on Tuesday, the markets ended at the low of the week and exactly on a back test of that line. You can't get a better textbook response to support and resistance lines. Now, you might say, well, what about this? This should have been support. Yes, but remember, descending support, when it's broken to the downside, you cannot count on that to flip over to resistance. Just like when you have an ascending line that gets taken out to the upside, you cannot count on that line being flipped over to support. Okay? That if there's nothing else that I think this chart exemplifies, it is you break a descending support line, no big deal. You can come and go through it as you please. Break a descending resistance line, which is what we did on Tuesday, fairly early on, it flips over to support. So yes, indeed, we found support, and the markets in the S&P in particular now appear to be somewhat off to the races once again. Now, we also got over this, which was a sort of a tentative, maybe sorta-ish neckline. Guys, we might be looking at this chart a little bit differently by midweek, okay? I don't think we have the full picture as far as what's going on here quite yet. It would not surprise me if we dip back down just a bit, and that would not be unusual. But hey, it was a great week, a fantastic week, and it was a week in which I now feel like I feel very good about sticking to that 2120 target. But if you'll notice one thing, we had this line on the chart as well. Now, I'm not going to tell you that that line cannot be violated, but I will state the obvious, and that is where our high of the week ended. Right at a tag of that line, and then a little giving back of just a tiny bit of ground. Not much, just a little bit. But it looks like this line right here may put up a little bit of a fight. So guys, I think I'm going to make this pretty short and sweet, because really I think the operative thing that we're looking at here is just a market that rebounded very nicely, that we now, I believe, can look at this as another low, and I would fully expect to set a new all-time high in the days and weeks ahead. Now, I mentioned a new line to go on the chart. Yes, thank you for reminding me. We're just going to go with this right here, plain and simple. Why? Well, this obviously is a technically significant bottom. We rallied off of 1820 for about 14%. And now we obviously, to me, have found strong support at this level right here. So I'm going to make this line, we'll make it a new red line because we were used to seeing a red support line on that chart. This is the line that I'm now going to look at if we see some weakness. This now, I think, is a worthy trend line to consider for a strong candidate for future support. So guys, it was a great week. You can see that really once we bounced off this low here at about, where were we? Let me get my tool. About 1972. Here we are, a 100-point move off of the back test of this line right here. And let's be honest, part of this was the markets got goosed a good bit Wednesday afternoon with with the Fed statement. And so that was a good thing. You can see that's where that happened right here. We also have maybe a little inverted head and shoulder down here where this is a neckline. But I still think the bigger pattern is the one that's going to sort of rule the day. Do these peaks line up? No, they don't. So, you know, I think maybe in the short term we could perhaps do this. But let's be frank. This is a very steep rally off of this bottom. I would fully expect at some point in this week there to be some weakness to give up 1% or 1% and a fraction of what we gained off of 1972 on that better than 5% move that took place over 3 days. So guys, that's your video and weekly review for the trading that ended on December 19th, 2014. Thanks for watching this. And hey, if you're looking at this and you are not a member of SP500chart.com and you're thinking to yourself, gee, I sure wish I could have been in the know on this chart analysis back on Tuesday or Wednesday. Well, you could have been. And you can be the next time this happens. Go to SP500chart.com, sign up today to get daily technical analysis videos just like the one you've seen here. It's cheap, less than a cheap cup of coffee per day. Join, go check it out. Thanks for your time and attention. Thank you for your support. Take care.